My best friend and I got locked in her aunt's pantry. She whispered, "Don't make me beg." The heavy pantry door slammed shut with a deafening bang, and before I could reach the handle, the old lock snapped into place. I threw my shoulder against the door, but it refused to move. The tiny room instantly felt suffocating despite the bright afternoon sunlight streaming through the small window. My best friend, Sienna Holloway, stood frozen beside the dusty shelves, her face drained of color. Tears filled her eyes as she looked at an old wooden chest hidden in the corner. Then she whispered something so heartbreaking that I forgot all about the locked door. She begged me not to make her beg, and I realized the greatest danger inside that pantry wasn't the lock, it was the painful secret she had carried alone for years. Before we continue, if you believe kindness deserves a second chance, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with your loved ones, and subscribe to Wisdom Story House. Your support helps us bring more heartfelt stories to people around the world. It was a beautiful summer morning when Sienna invited me to help clean her Aunt Helena's farmhouse before it was sold. The countryside looked peaceful beneath the golden sunshine. Butterflies floated over wildflowers, birds sang from the old oak trees, and a gentle breeze carried the scent of fresh grass across the fields. The farmhouse had stood there for generations, filled with memories hidden inside every room. We laughed as we dusted old furniture, packed family photographs, and discovered forgotten treasures tucked away inside cabinets. It felt like an ordinary day until Aunt Helena asked us to organize the large pantry near the back of the house. The pantry was almost as big as a bedroom. Tall wooden shelves reached the ceiling, filled with glass jars, recipe books, canned food, and dusty boxes that had not been opened in years. While sorting through the shelves, Sienna suddenly became unusually quiet. She carefully placed a bundle of old letters back onto a shelf as though they were more valuable than gold. Before I could ask why, the heavy door swung shut behind us. We rushed to open it, but the rusty lock had jammed. We shouted until our voices became hoarse, pounded against the thick wood, and searched every corner for another way out. The tiny window was far too small to escape through, and no one outside could hear us over the sound of tractors working in the nearby fields. As the warm afternoon stretched on, the air inside the pantry became still and uncomfortable. Dust floated through the narrow beams of sunlight, and silence slowly replaced our panic. That was when Sienna finally looked toward the old wooden chest hidden beneath the lowest shelf. With trembling hands, she admitted that everything inside belonged to the hardest chapter of her family's life. Years earlier, when her father suffered a serious accident and could no longer work, her parents had quietly fallen into financial ruin. Without telling anyone, Aunt Helena sold her jewelry, emptied her savings, postponed her own dreams, and even mortgaged part of the farmhouse to keep Sienna's family together. She never asked for recognition because she believed family should never feel like a burden. Sienna had accidentally discovered the truth when she was only 12 years old after reading the letters hidden inside that very chest. Since then, she had lived with overwhelming guilt. Every birthday gift, every holiday dinner, and every smile from her aunt reminded her of sacrifices she believed could never be repaid. She feared that if anyone else learned the truth, they would see her family as selfish. The locked pantry had forced her to face memories she had spent years trying to bury. Listening to her confession changed something inside me. I realized that many people carry invisible pain behind ordinary smiles. I gently reminded her that genuine love is never alone waiting to be repaid. Real kindness is given freely because someone else's happiness matters more than personal comfort. Her aunt had never sacrificed out of obligation. She had done it because love always chooses people over possessions. Nearly 2 hours later, worried family members finally noticed we were missing. After searching the farmhouse, they found us trapped inside the pantry. It took several minutes and a crowbar to force the old lock open. Bright daylight poured into the room, and cool fresh air rushed across our faces. Everyone expected us to laugh about the accident, but Sienna walked directly to Aunt Helena and wrapped her in the tightest embrace either of them had shared in years. Neither of them needed many words. Their tears said everything that had remained unspoken for far too long. Watching them reminded everyone present that forgiveness often begins with a single act of honesty. That unforgettable afternoon transformed Sienna's life. Instead of trying to repay a debt that never truly existed, she decided to honor her aunt's kindness by helping others. She began volunteering at the town's community food pantry every weekend, quietly delivering groceries to elderly neighbors and struggling families. She discovered that the greatest way to thank someone for changing your life is by becoming the reason someone else's life changes for the better. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, leave a heartfelt comment, and subscribe to Wisdom Story House so together we can continue spreading stories filled with compassion, forgiveness, and love. Special request: before this story ends, please comment, "Kindness lives forever," if you believe one selfless act can inspire generations. Sometimes the strongest doors are not the ones made of wood and iron. They are the ones built around wounded hearts. The day Sienna and I finally stepped out of that old pantry into the warm afternoon sunshine, we didn't just escape a locked room. We left behind years of guilt, embraced the healing power of forgiveness, and learned that kindness never disappears. It simply finds another heart willing to pass it on.